I just want to welcome everyone into Mindful Lunch. Thank you so much for joining me. For any of you that I have not personally met or know, I just want to introduce myself and say a little bit about what we do here at Reyou. So my name is Pat Lee. I am the founder and lead facilitator of Reyou. And Reyou works supportively with people and teams that are experiencing major transitions to help them build meaningful connections that really result in an improvement in well-being and a deepening of resilience. And we do all of this through capacity building workshops, one-on-one mentoring and coaching, as well as small group mentoring and coaching. And you can learn more about Reyou on our website. SJ will post a link in the chat there. Thank you, SJ. And we also have a pretty awesome, safe, brave, and supportive online community where we lead ongoing mental well-being practice through journaling, storytelling, and mindfulness practices. You can check that out in the second link, community.reyoumindfulness.com. And you can go to any of those pages to learn more. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. I'm keeping an eye on I'm looking at two screens. So if I'm looking in the wrong camera, just let me know. Or looking at the wrong screen, just let me know. Thanks so much for joining us for this mindful lunch session. I want to introduce you to two phenomenal women. Joy Loewen has become a good friend of mine. Joy believes in the transformative power of stories and is really passionate about supporting creators who make them. She is currently the Vice President, Growth and Inclusion at the Canadian Media Fund. But before she went to the Canadian Media Fund, Joy was CEO of the National Screen Institute, where she successfully completed a 3-year strategic plan before stepping down just this April. So a little bit more than a month, just under a month now, but she's joining me here to talk about some of the things that she did while she was at the National Screen Institute. And just so you know, like Joy is one of, I don't know, like a really awesome person to get to know. And like she's a lifelong advocate of women and girls. She's a founding member of founding and launching member of the Women's Television Network, now the W Network, which is really awesome. And for more than a decade, Joy's been championing women's leadership and excellence as a volunteer board member at Balmoral Hall. She's an active volunteer with a number of nonprofit boards and councils, including the Winnipeg Foundation, Canada's National Ballet School, the Order of Manitoba Advisory, and the Manitoba King's Council Advisory. So, Joy, you do a lot. But we really appreciate that. And the world appreciates it because
I don't knit. I don't sew.
you don't sew, you do windows?
Don't do windows.
But there's appreciation here. Like 2023, Joy was awarded Playback Canada's Changemaker of the Year. And in 2022, she received the Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Medal in recognition of outstanding service to her province. So a lot of hard work. Okay. Congratulations, Joy. So great to be in the same room with you and to learn from you. Amazing. So forgive me, I've got the retainers, aligners in. Oh, yeah. And sometimes the pronunciation just gets caught in there. Okay. Or the words get caught in there. And then I want to introduce you to another really phenomenal person who I've just gotten to know, and she's just awesome. Liz, I feel like we need to like stop in at the King's Head pub somewhere and like have a beer or something. Like you'd be a good pal for having one of those evenings. So Liz has worked at the National Screen Institute since she arrived in Canada in 2003. and she's taken on numerous roles in marketing and communications. But she's now the director of operations at the National Screen Institute, and she was very instrumental in the organization's rebranding and its introduction of a 4-day work week. Liz is responsible for the design and implementation of a variety of organization-wide management and HR systems. She played a key role in program development, internal communication system, IT, budget management. Like, she is wearer of many hats, right? But interestingly, Liz has been named one of the world's top 125 fearless female bloggers. And she's nominated for a Woman of Distinction Award, delivering way too many, she said, her word, not mine, way too many online marketing presentations, and is proud to have made her dog Insta famous with 30,000 plus followers. So that's phenomenal right there. And in a previous life, Liz was a publicist, marketing and communications manager, magazine editor, and freelance writer, covering a number of topics from film and music to biotechnology. So those are my two amazing lunchtime conversation guests today. And we are going to talk about designing a workplace that really helps us balance life and work and creativity and productivity in a very meaningful way. So welcome in, ladies. So happy to have you. So I just want to give a little bit of a background here, and I stole the line that was in that Friday email message that I got, and I just want to read it out here. So I had emailed Joy on a separate occasion, like we were talking about having you as a mindful lunch guest for a while, Joy, and then I sent you an email on Friday, and I got this out of office response back that just blew my mind, and I'm gonna read it as it came to me. The out of office response said, "In an effort to promote our well-being and honor a better work-life balance, we are piloting a 4-day work week. Our business hours are Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Central Time." That's it, right? It wasn't, "Sorry, I'm out of office. I'll respond to your email as soon as I get back," or, you know, I'm off from work this week, or "Please don't email me on Fridays." I just love the way that it flowed. "In an effort to promote our well-being and honor a better work-life balance." And I thought to myself, I need to know more about this. What is the untold story here? So Joy, I'll bring you in as a first speaker, and then, you know, I'll move between both of you. How did this idea for a 4-day work week come up in your organization in your time at NSI?
So I'm going to start by giving full props to the originator, the creator of this email was Liz. So when you introed Liz, you talked about, you know, the work she's done on branding and marketing, and you wonder why she's done so many podcasts and why everybody wants her words in their messages. This is a reflection of exactly that. So we had, you know, where it started was, in this safe space with women. I'm bold to admit that, you know, it was selfishly inspired. I was exhausted. I had been in the role of CEO at the National Screen Institute for about 3.5. Well, I think it was about 3.5 years when we were doing a refresh on our strategic plan. And it was so great because we had basically lifted ourselves out of the wisp of smoke that was left. We were in a pretty dire financial straits in 2018, 2019, and we had to work together very hard as a team to, you know, keep the organization afloat and really seek to meet our mission. And we were doing a refresh on our strategic plan in, you know, around 2021-ish, and or maybe it was 2022. At any rate, a few months, about 1.5 years into our plan, we were doing a strategic refresh, and we were celebrating all of the good stuff, like all of the major milestones we had accomplished. But there was still, I felt I don't know if all Urs and Liz can maybe speak to this, but there was just still this like, oh, I'm exhausted. Like, why amn't I more satisfied? Like, why am I genuinely happy? Like, why can't I feel this? And I came to realize it's because I'm fucking tired. Excuse me. I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. And I could see the fatigue in my teammates as well too, because when we push this boulder up a hill, now we got to push it up some more because we're still not, we're not done. And a number of people by this point, there was a number of organizations. We had some contemporaries at the Canadian Film Center who were already piloting a 4-day work week at this point. It wasn't brand new and novel to us. There were some organizations that were doing it. And so I had spoken with our chair, who was very supportive of hearing more, as well as the facilitator that we were working with, and then with the group of employees around the table. And, there was lots of fear about, we're already exhausted doing the work in 5 days. How in the heck are we going to do this in 4? So we really did have to pay, a lot of attention to how we were going to implement this, and for it to be successful, we felt for us that we did need to do some planning. Not, you can't plan all the details, but we really did need to be purposeful and take a bit of time to focus. And Liz became the manager, the executor of this sort of idea, and she really took it to identifying a person on the team who would really champion this, and figure out how can we as a team, as an organization, do this and still be productive, and so she undertook I'm going to say about a 4, 5, 6 month period of time to research, do background, and all the while we were working with our board. Liz was at one point testing this out by taking a day off a week so that we could, sort of real time, how does this work? I would say that for us, it was a matter of being productive, staying, knowing that we had to keep productivity up, but the goal was to just try and create, as the message says, try and create a better sense of well-being. Do some of the activities that bring life and give you creativity, allow you to be creative in your work. I would leave it there and maybe just go to Liz to just talk a little bit about how we ended up doing it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And Liz, tell us a little bit about the trial as well. Like how did this come together for you?
So I think when I first heard about the idea, it was daunting because, like Joyce said, everybody's already got huge workloads. How on earth are we going to do this in 4 days? It must be impossible. But and this is my personality type. I did excuse my language, a shit ton of research, and I really immersed myself in it. That's just how I sort of operate. And I needed to understand all the facts, and I needed to understand exactly how it worked in order to be able to stand behind it. Because I wasn't, Joy brought the idea, but I needed to really believe in it myself. So I did a pre-trial, like Joy says, and I think which started in maybe February and lasted for a few months, where I took every Friday off. And I was like, okay, we can do this. And then I think there was just a lot of, well, maybe we should be getting this piece in place, or this piece in place, or this piece in place. And again, through my research, what I read is too much pre-planning can really kill the initiative. And that is based on what others who've done this have said. There's a really good book called The 4-Day Week by Andrew Barnes, which I devoured and wrote copious notes about and listened to podcasts. And that was what I learned from it, that we just needed to start it. And that was the nervous part about the whole thing. Because, like I said, it seemed like an impossible concept. And we just started it. We had again, we had a presentation from Lee Waltham at Brandish. They also trialed a 4-day work week. He came and presented to our team as a way of, you know, demonstrating to the team that it is possible within a really busy workplace. And he provided a lot of advice about ensuring that we have a kind of a baseline. We survey our team members, and we continue surveying team members every week throughout the trial. So once we, you know, taken a deep exhale and just jumped into the trial, we started using an app called Office Vibe. And I'm sure there are other employee engagement apps out there, but this is the one that Brandish recommended. So I looked into it and signed us up for it. And it's based, it automatically issues, or you can set it up to automatically issue a weekly pulse survey, which is grounded in, you know, HR principles. And it's the survey is 2-3 questions. You don't even have to write anything, just click some buttons. And it's really to take the temperature or gauge how employees are feeling from week to week. And, you know, we hit what Brandish told us was really impressive. So I, you know, was like, well, I want to see this for myself. And the same thing happened to us as had happened with them, which is over the 8-month trial period, we were able to see where we had started and how folks were feeling. You know, the graph is kind of here middling, and then as the trial wears on, it kind of goes up, and we've maintained the levels are out of 10 being the sort of best, and we've maintained a level of 8 throughout up till this point. And the trial ended in March this year, and the board gave us their blessing to step out of the trial and make it a part of our workplace. Also with the understanding, and this is key for anybody who's considering a 4-day work week, be prepared to adapt at any time. Be prepared to adapt through a trial, and be prepared to adapt through implementation, because it only works as long as employees are continuing to be productive and our workloads work with it. It may not work for every organization, for every industry, for every workplace. I know that the way that we've done it is we were working a 35-hour week, Monday to Friday. And our reduced hours are Monday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. What this has resulted in is only a decrease of 3 hours in our work week. So while we benefit from an entire day off, on paper, or, you know, technically it's only 3 hours less. So when you think about it that way, it's suddenly the concept becomes a lot more possible and doable. Other workplaces, and in the research that I did, have done it in other ways. So, you know, maybe if you have a very, very large workforce, then our workplace is, you know, I think we were maybe 10 team members at the time when we started the trial. You know, if you've got hundreds of people and you're working in all different departments, and maybe if you're a sort of front-facing, public-serving company, maybe you stagger things. So not everybody has the same day off each week. Or maybe you can do what another organization I know has done, which is they've literally compressed their 5 days into 4 days. And the way that they've done that has, again, only resulted in the loss of 1 hour in their work week. So there are multiple ways to do it. It really depends on what's right for you. But it is important to remember it may not be right for you. So we had to go into this praying that it was right for us, because I'd been having Fridays off since the beginning of the year, and I was like, I am fuck if I'm gonna not do this
Not
trial.
going back, not giving this gift back.
Right, right. Like, I'm gonna run out of the holiday if this trial doesn't work out. So you know, I really, really wanted it to work. And I think that I got the same sense from the whole team that everybody was like, this is a great idea. We want it. We very much want to try it, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, that's lovely. So I love what you said, that there's this idea of, okay, how do we do if we're already exhausted? And I think, Joy, it was you that said this, we're already exhausted working 5 days a week. How are we possibly going to get all of that down into 4 days? But then Liz, you're pointing out that if you look at it in terms of total hours of paid work that's being affected, then it really is much easier to sort of move from that, oh, it's 4 days, 5 days to 4 days, versus it's this many hours and we're just shifting the hours across the rest of the week and only taking a few hours away. I like that idea of it, as opposed to, or like what you said, that it works differently for different organizations, as opposed to compressing the work week into 4 days just to give employees a day off. I'm curious though, because you spoke about the fact that there are benefits and employee satisfaction and people are excited about this, but what does this mean for productivity? Has there been a change in productivity as a result of this institution of 4-day work week?
So yes, is the short answer. Because, and I saw this develop over time, because team members were loving having the Friday where they didn't have to sort of be working. And just as a disclaimer, people are neither encouraged nor discouraged from working on that fifth day. So you can work, but if you work, you must work quietly, which means no emails, no messages to other people. That's what schedule send in Outlook is for, and schedule send in Teams is for. But what I noticed over time is that, and I think this is where the don't do too much pre-planning comes in, you start to adapt. Folks start to adapt. We had already, prior to starting the trial, back to what Joyce said, we already had heavy workload. So we were already looking at ways, how can we be more productive? Especially with the pandemic happening, everyone's working from home and the line is blurring between, work and play. So you do find, I certainly for myself found, I didn't have trouble being motivated to work. I worked a lot, and I think I worked more. And so trying, how do you balance that out? And so we were already trying to look at ways in the workplace, such as shortening meetings, or can we eliminate any meetings? There's a really good book called Come Up for Air by Nick Sonnenberg, which I read in tandem with the Andrew Barnes book. And Nick Sonnenberg's book is all about productivity and how you can be more efficient in the workplace. And it was a godsend to read at that time, because one of the things that comes with the resources with the book is a meeting calculator. Think about all of those meetings that you have where you've got, however many directors or managers in, work out what their hourly rate is, plug it into the meeting calculator, and suddenly you're like, shit, really? We just spent this amount of money to have all of those people in that hour-long meeting, or God forbid, 2-hour meeting.
Right.
So I think just kind of organically and subtly over time, people started to try to have less meetings. We had a staff meeting every week. That became less frequent. When we did have it, we restricted everybody's speaking only for 5 minutes, and we had a timer, and somebody was in charge of the timer. And that really helped sort of just keep things on track. And I know that individual team members started to do their own things to try to, minimize, what's the word? I suddenly can't think of the word. Distractions, right? And because you need to minimize distractions in your workplace in order to get your work done. So for a long time, I would set aside focus time. And I know Ursula has done the same. I know Joy's done the same. And that is a time in your calendar where you block off maybe 3 hours, where you don't look at your email, you don't respond to Teams messages or messages in Slack. And you do deep work and you focus on certain projects. Because we all know now, we're all kind of, drowning in tools in the workplace. And there's always something to respond to and something distracting us, that we really need to devote time to just this project.
Yeah.
So yeah, the team members definitely work towards becoming more productive. It is very much a work in progress. And I will hold my hands up and say it is hard at times to stick to those hours and the 4-day week. And again, I think that's perfectly natural. Depends on, what's happening in the workplace, what's happening. Sometimes you need to do more.
Yep.
It just comes with the territory. But you know what? I don't work on Friday. I sleep. I stay in my bed and I try not to get out of it for a very long time.
That's an amazing gift. That's an amazing gift, right? Being able to sleep in on a Friday, or, working really hard on Wednesday and Thursday because you're going to sleep in on a
I'm like
Friday.
this. Like I'm working really hard and I'm running, and I know Friday I can just go
without losing your weekend.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something that Joy had said when we were doing the prep meeting. She used the word gift of time. You said that this is actually a gift of time. Joy, I don't know if you can, are you able to share a little bit about how leadership within the organization and how employees kind of embrace this idea of the 4-day work week as a gift of time, like time coming back to them in this positive way?
Yeah, it's priceless for sure. And in our case, we implemented this through strategy. So it comes as the gift is the organization's gift. It's National Screen Institute's gift to the people who are giving it life. I often say I looked at the National Screen Institute as a person itself that we needed to take care of. So in return for us as employees doing this work, the organization gave us back this gift. And so how we sort of operationalized that was we built it into as a strategy. Like I said, this is woven into our strategic planning. And one of the strategies was that number one strategy was that we take care of our people. We often think that finance and productivity is job one, but hey, listen, you don't get to those places without the employees doing the work. So let's take care of the employees, and the well-being of employees was a strategy, and this 4-day work week was one of the action items to gift to employees, to incentivize. How we pitch this to our board and to each other too was that this is a benefit for us. But know that, like it can be taken away at any time. So we do have to be efficient with with how we use our times. And Liz explained some of the tools that we used to become more efficient. We do, I believe that like I was able to be more creative. Because I had more focused time, less distractions. I was able to think a little bit more into the future instead of always. And then for me, Fridays were indeed a weekly gift. I used it as a quiet day for sure, but then there was always a little treat. So I could, and sometimes the treat was grocery shopping, so I didn't have to do it on the weekend, but, a facial, a massage, a shop, but really it was, I saw this as a gift, but motivated, because we do have to think of, these are businesses, and these businesses have to continue to function. We have to meet We have to meet our mission and mandate. We have to meet our operational business goals. We have to serve and supply, service our suppliers, our clients, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that needs to be done. But if we can do it in a way that where employees are coming to it a bit more fresh, with a bit more, I'm going to say maybe even a bit more commitment and loyalty to the organization and to the work, I believe that the results, have a better yield a better return.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to add to that, if I may, Patley. In my research, again, looking at what benefits potential employees who might join your workplace are looking for I'm probably going to get these wrong. Millennials, Gen Zers, folks that are newer to the workplace than me, are looking for that flexibility and are looking for those kind of well-being benefits where they know that their employer is looking at them holistically and less as a sort of, another number, another employee. And I know from our hiring prior to us having the 4-day work week versus now, we get a lot more job applications and
at a higher level.
And a higher level. And some of that's to do with the rebranding we did, and people and therefore people understanding our commitment to underrepresented storytellers. But a lot of it has to do with they know that there's flexibility in the workplace and that we care about our staff.
We care about staff taking care of themselves and making space for the time that they're not with us to refresh, refuel. This is a business trend as well too. Like, we're approaching this from a well-being and partly self-care, but appreciate and understand that the 4-day work week, this is part of Liz's research. Sorry, the 5-day work week was established under, President Ford in 1914. It's, over 100 years old. So, it's, and when you just like listening to the news each day, and I don't blame you for not, but listening to it, it's like the stuff, the stories, the issues, what we are dealing with as a people, as a human race right now is significant. So you're full up even before you start to open your inbox. And then you're trying to, be joy in the midst of everything else. And it's not possible. So having space and time for workplaces that acknowledge that employees may need to work a little bit less in order to do more in their workplace, I think is a business trend that can be pitched to more and more companies and entrepreneurs.
Oh, absolutely. I love that you mentioned that, this idea of the 100-year-old concept of the 5-day work week, and the fact that it's not quite blending in very well with the modern world and our modern time. I mean, just even the idea of being open to looking at things differently says a lot about our willingness to embrace the concept of diversity in the workplace. Because the people who get left out of that 5-day, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 mix often tends to be the people who are least represented.
That's right.
Which are oftentimes mostly women and women in work, because it's difficult to be a parent and fit into that sort of inflexible work schedule. So I think that that's a really, really important point to bring up in terms of, and especially for an organization that is about trying to find a way to be more representative in the stories
and to create
that are
equity.
Being told.
To be more inclusive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Were you going to add something, Liz? No? I also wanted to just take a moment to touch on that point where you said, Joy, about treating the National Screen Institute as if it were a person. And so looking at it as how do we take care of ourselves so we can take care of this person. And that's so spot on with our theme or May theme in our community this month, which is taking care of ourselves so we can take care of others, right? Because in May we celebrate caregivers within the Reyou community. And so it's really interesting having this idea of taking care of ourselves by sort of coming back to that question of what do we need? And how would giving ourselves this gift of time help us to be more creative, to be more comfortable with problem solving, to bring more of our authentic self to work as opposed to our tired and beaten up self, or just our surface and just getting through this until the next thing self, and be really in tune and happy to do the work that we're doing in order to make this person or this organization a better organization for everyone that is involved with it. I'm curious, just on a personal level, what does it mean for you, just personally, in terms of your own values of well-being and leadership? And I'll throw this out to both of you. Maybe Liz, you might want to start. Like, what does this mean, having this gift of time in your pocket, as something that you can choose to do with as you would, from a well-being and just a joy of work perspective?
It means everything to me, honestly. I work, we all work very hard. And to know that the organization I work for walks the talk, that how we are to the outside world is also what we're doing within our team. Just enables me to know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. So I realize that I am in a very fortunate position to be able to have the option of working or not working. And it's very important for me to recharge my batteries on that day. So yeah, it's huge.
Mm. And
I'm sure Joy is now going to give, what's that?
Sleep is your go-to thing.
Yeah. Well, because I don't get enough of it during the week because I get up very early, go to bed probably too late. Now, Joy, I'm sure that you're going to come out with some beautifully inspiring.
No pressure.
Something nugget.
No, I think that was beautifully inspired. I say ditto to what Liz said. How's that?
Touche.
How's that? But there's and I'm just, I don't mind admitting, I'm just exploring all of this now too, right? So I'm really going to bring you in deep to share that the concept of space and time. A number of people I know have passed away in the last couple of weeks, and you think you have tomorrow, you think you have like next year, or that I'll meet my grandkids, or I'll see my kids get married, or I'll go on this trip with my husband and do that with my buddies, and then you don't. And or not everybody gets that. So how am I creating space to do the things that I want to do? How do I, number one, identify what do I want to do? How am I feeling doing the things that I'm doing? Like, it's all about just opening, right? So that, yeah, if I don't live to be 91, I'm good with what was done during that time. And again, I just look at the 4-day work week as a gift of time. It makes so much sense on a practical business level. I mean, I think it's the most sensible and luxurious gift an employer can give to an employee, truly. But what that does for me as a person is it gives me a little bit more time to do joy things. And some of my joy things might be working on this, clearing out my inbox, working on a report, reviewing, reading something work related, or it might be sleeping in, or just staying the day in bed, going to the store because less people are in the shop when I want to shop. Let's be real.
Yep.
And so, what I would say is the biggest benefit, the biggest, is what it means is the space to do, the space to identify what it is, check in with my own self, and fill my cup in ways that allow me to fill the cups of others, or at least try to.
Oh, wonderful. Love that. Oh, and we have another guest.
Yeah, this
What's
is
his
Lily.
name, Liz?
Lily.
Ah!
Oh, her name?
Yes.
His name? Lily?
Lily.
Lily. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Lily.
She's wondering if she's going to get some food at lunchtime. That's what I think.
That is so brilliant and wonderfully put. Like the idea of space and time, that's something I fundamentally believe in. And there's bags of research to back that up, bags and bags of research. So I wanna just open up the space now to our audience members. If there are any questions or any comments that you want to offer up for either of our speakers. I'm seeing some questions popping up in the chat here. Which is great. It would be great. I'll give you the choice. Deanna, do you want to come on forward and ask your question?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It was just a question to both Joy and Liz. Do you feel in that short time window now that you're more productive? I've kind of heard that from you. But do you feel less stressed and less committed in other outings or less overwhelmed?
Roller coaster.
Yeah, sorry. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So I'm always stressed about something. I could be stressed about cleaning the toilet. I just carry stress with me. But to your point, I know that there's going to be a catch-up day. And that catch-up day, just sort of is just a check-in with the stress, right? It just keeps everything at bay, and it helps bring some perspective too, right? Like you get this sense that everything needs to be done perfect in this moment right now. So actually, calm down. And so while I would say that, yeah, no, in all honesty, there's I still get overwhelmed. I still feel stressed. It's manageable. It's to manage.
I just wanted to recommend two other books Joy has been, as you can all tell, an inspirational leader at the National Screen Institute. And it's things like hearing from her, things like that. Stop. It doesn't all have to be done right now, that have really helped me as well to deal or have coping mechanisms for some sort of stress. But two books that I read and would wish and need to read them again and again are both by the same author. One is called Effortless. And the other is called Essentialism. And they're both by a man called Greg McKeown. And they are essential reads. If you're feeling like everything's on top of you in life and or your workplace, he really helps to sort of pull you back and remind you, look at what's really important. Look at what's really essential. Does it have to be done right now? If it has to be done now, does it have to be done by me? So I found a lot of that really helpful.
That's wonderful. And we'll share links to the books and the resources, that the books and podcasts that you mentioned, Liz. They had a couple other points in the chat. I think Natalie had a question, Natalie Bell and Andrea
Natalie.
and Sue. Natalie, Sue, and Andrea, did you want to come forward and make the comment or
Hi,
ask
it's
questions?
Natalie. I am dealing with a little bit of a cold. Well,
Oh.
it's a perimenopause cold. Let's just put it there.
Oh. Does that
I
mean
feel
you
you,
have a
Natalie.
cold
I
all
feel
the
you.
time?
So I'm just not, anywho, I didn't really have a question other than a comment from an HR perspective that it is definitely something that I've seen continue to increase and people thrive when it occurs. Um, I would just say though, for the type of organization that NSI is, and other organizations where it's office type work as well, those on the call that don't have that or have a very varied workforce, it's something that you need to note that depending on the type of organization, a big consideration to think of is, can all employees participate? Because there's been some organizations I've talked to where, it's only this little group of people that get to do that, and the rest of the folks have to work for 5 days. So I would say that is just something to note. I was typing it in the chat when you called me Patly.
I'm the teacher. I call on people.
Yeah, it's in HR, we always say you have to be fair, consistent, and predictable.
Yeah.
And that fairness is a big thing when it comes to the 4-day work week. If it can't be for everybody, how are you going to manage that too? But of course, Liz and Joy, who I know both very well, such a pleasure to hear you. You
I'm
guys
glad you could
can't see
come.
me, but we will catch up one of these days soon. I promise.
One day.
One day, definitely.
Perfect.
Just further to what Natalie says. Hi, Natalie. One of the things that we said at the beginning of the trial was, this is what we would like to do, but everybody has to opt in. And or not has to, but we would like everyone to opt in. If you don't want to opt in, let us know. And we would like to discuss with you how we can find a more flexible model for the way that you work. So we didn't know if everybody would jump at it, and we were prepared. And Natalie makes an excellent point that just because, so maybe the 4-day work week model doesn't work for your industry, your company, but maybe there's another way that you can bring flexibility into the week or month or year.
And I would say that organizations need to just let it go and be creative. It's okay to do that. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do hard things. We can decide that the next 3 months we're doing something different. We can do that, right? But I think, like you said, from the 1900s, early 1900s, there's just been that thought in our society that we have to continue on the way that we are. But, it never hurts to try. It never hurts to try. And you never know until you try, right?
Exactly.
Anyways, okay, I'm going to go blow my nose. I'm going to shut up now.
Thanks, Natalie. That's such a very good point. It's a very, very important point. Thank you for raising that. And I think Andrea, sorry, I'm skipping over Sue. Sue had a question, and then we'll take Andrea's.
I think my question was answered. I was just asking about a couple of books
Okay.
Liz had mentioned, and it looks like the links are going to be at the end, but very interesting, all very interesting. Excuse me.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. And thanks for being on the call. Andrea.
And I think in addition to that 100-year-old schedule, that was also based on a time when there was an assumption that there was one parent at home at all times, which is not so much the case these days. But Liz, given you did all this research, did you find anything or any differences in adoption rates between male-led organizations and female-led, or anything anecdotal to that, or pretty equal across the board?
I don't recall there being any demographics in any of the stuff I read or listened to, so I can't speak to that. And I haven't heard anything anecdotally. The authors of the productivity books and the 4-day work week book, they're all male, and yeah, so which is kind of counter to what I might sort of guess at.
True.
Yeah.
Then my last question to you would be, so I work in the manufacturing industry, which to Natalie's point is a little bit of a harder sell. Not impossible, not much is when you really want to try, but oh gosh, there's my menopausal brain. Oh, seriously, what just happened? Oh yes, did you read anything in terms of like business case or ROI that might be helpful? And you can send this off to me later. And maybe it was in those books that you recommended, but how to present that business case, right? Or an ROI in that kind of environment, that might be a little trickier. A few more moving parts.
Definitely. And I'm pretty sure that they covered the different industries in the 4-day workweek book in that Andrew Barnes
totally
book.
did. They totally did. I tend to gloss over stuff like that. And oh my golly, it was right. It's like we don't make widgets, right? Like it's hard to track our productivity because we're not doing widgets, but there are test cases in the 4-day workweek book that speak to that internationally as well too. So
thank you.
Wonderful.
Oh, also, if you honestly just hear me out here, not sure how comfortable everybody is with AI, but Andrea, if you were to like take a bunch of information and ask ChatGPT to help you create a briefing document for your board chair or whatever, based on some of the information that was from the 4-day workweek book, I know for a fact, because I have done this, it will be a great tool in assisting you with that argument.
Great. Thank you for that.
Wonderful. That's a good point. Although I always feel like using AI is cheating.
I know.
No.
That's the academic in me.
I've come around.
But I get it in terms of academia. My mantra is work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder. I'm getting there. I'm getting there too. Like it's giving up that level of control. It's giving up that level of creative control.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me for this mindful lunch conversation. Joy, Liz, everyone else that is here on the call. I really appreciate you being here. Natalie saying if anyone wants to stay on and talk about perimenopause and menopause. Oh, I'm for that conversation because I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is going on this side.
That requires a drink. Yeah.
Natalie, there's a podcast called Effing Hormones. It's British. Check it out if you haven't already.
Will. Thank you.
Yeah. And well, we'll definitely do that. But thank you so much for joining me for this mindful lunch session. I really hope you can join us for the next one in June, where my guest is going to be Manitoba author Christine Hanlon. I know everyone has to run to catch whatever is happening at 1. And I would just love for you to be able to have a moment to take a pause and just catch your breath before you get into the next moment. So Joy and Liz, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a very valuable and filling lunchtime conversation. And thank you to everyone else for joining us in this conversation, the questions and so on. Thank you so much, folks. Walk good.
Thanks for creating space, Petley.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.